Hello, my fellow readers. This is iDark7777 with another fanfiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story. And finally, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. Yeah, this is not exactly the best story. If anything, I would say Where There Is Smoke is probably the weakest original story of the Luniverse. I don't have much to say about it. It's such kind of a throwaway story, despite it being like 20,000 words. Like, honestly, how could you say like 20,000 words and mean like 10 words? Like, this story happened. Fiery bird burns down. Fiery bird burns town down. Oh no. I think that was 10. But yeah, let's just get started with the plot. So the plot starts with Corona, or Celestia, however you want to say it. He's basically wandering around trying to find some place to set up, while getting pissed over the fact that her powers that she had were wiped away by the elements of harmony, however temporarily. And so she tries to think of a plan to try and harass the element makers because she still wants to take them out. She can't take them out now. So she settles on a plan while walking with Spike and Zakora. Summon Philomena, her pet bird. Phoenix, the burb. Alright, that's fine. And then she basically releases it from Philomena from a prison, saying, go burn stuff down, just set stuff on fire. And Philomena heads to Ponyville. At the same time, Trixie gets a visit from an auditor who's basically accusing Trixie of basically abusing the stipend emergency fund to basically repair Ponyville because of a tip by Blue Blood. You know, not the Blue Blood that Trixie replaced in Longest Night, Longest Day, but the current Blue Blood, Prince Blue Blood. That is his actual name. Yeah, Prince, because Prince just wants to get in Trixie's tail. Yeah, he wants to get under Trixie's tail. I guess that'd be like the pony equivalent to getting in her pants. I don't know, honestly. Very weird. But Trixie doesn't want that. So I lost my thought for that weird tangent. Oh yeah. Trixie decides is like, okay, we need to do something about this. So her and Pokey try to figure out some way to convince them that, hey, this is something. We're using these funds for actual purposes. But you labeled Rainbow Dash as an untamable force of nature. That's because it's Rainbow Dash. Yeah, she does her job, but whenever she even flies, stuff gets destroyed. It's not exactly a good sign. Oh, it helps that there's a specific law labeling Rainbow Dash as an untamable force of nature that requires the emergency fund was actually created by Blue Blood's the previous representative Blue Blood. So Prince Blue Blood knows about this and said, you will date me. Otherwise, I will tell the auditor that you're the one who made Rainbow Dash an untamable force of nature that requires the funds to repair whatever she does. Which, okay, to be fair, is actually illegal. Like, you can't just name a specific person an untamable force of nature because they happen to be good at their job. Then again, not this story, but the Carrot Top of the Line, this story right here, does reveal that there's a very specific reason why they can't really do anything about Rainbow Dash. Besides labeling her an untamable force of nature. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But anyway, Trixie and Pokey, they're thinking of a plan when they notice stuff being set on fire. So they basically play detectives, because Trixie is also getting into like a detective storybook. Who knew Trixie would be into mysteries? And they basically just have to hide. Or Pokey and Raindrops have to team up to try and figure out why these fires are being set on fire. There's an obvious Avatar reference with like cabbage pudding. What cabbages? And then they finally find out it is in fact Philomena. They basically have to fight Philomena, Raindrops, and every time they take Philomena down, Philomena gets revived and stronger than ever. So you're thinking, how can they stop Philomena? Simple. Trixie calls Luna and says, we got this weird bird setting everything on fire by flying. Luna shows up, basically reprimands Philomena and said, you'll go back to your box right now for another 1,000 years. Do it. Do you want to be punished for longer? Go now. And so Philomena goes. Luna's like, thank you for letting me know about this. Corona probably set her free, but now she's going back like a good little bird. Right, Philomena? I'm going. And then everything kind of ends. Oh wait, there's also the fact that Celestia finds out that Philomena failed and has her own little base set up in a volcano thanks to Diamond Dogs, and then she throws Spike into a vat of lava because it turns out he's lava proof, and she gets therapy from that. Yes, that's pretty much the plot of this story. There's just nothing. There's not really much character development because this is like one of those stories that are supposed to like buy you time to like the bigger stories that does have the character development, which is this story. Character development. Trixie's learning how to be a better person. She got help from Luna. There's nothing. I can't say anything else. I mean, Trixie falls in love with a mystery book. Raindrop it's starting. We find out Raindrops works for like a volunteer firefighting force for Ponyville. Pokey is Kamina even more. She manages to trick the auditor into going on vacation. I don't really know what to say. There's no. I think there's what? No. I'm thinking of Atlantis that has a grammar error. I don't think the story has a grammar error. Pacing, the story is like really, really short. It's only like 6 chapters. But it feels like I only read like 3 chapters. Like the weirdest thing is this story is 20,000 words long. It feels like I read only like a 10,000 word story. That's how blank and nothing this story is. Plus the fact that even ill communication and Griffin Overline at least does something for the actual story progression when it comes to like the main overall story arc. Granted, again, as I said with Griffin Over the Line, Gilda doesn't come into play until season 2, and the whole Pinky thing doesn't come into play until the end of season 1. But I've yet to come. Okay, so what is this? What is this story does for the greater of the entire story structure? It just gives Celestia home. It gives her a base where she can just command and rally her armies. And that's such a weak thing that I don't really know what to say. It's like, okay, Celestia has a base. Anything else that happens in terms, does anything happen to Philomena? No, Philomena goes back in the box and doesn't show up. She might show up when they fight Discord, but there's not. There's just nothing. There's just nothing. There's just nothing. That's why I'm moving on to Secret Atlantis. It's also the fact that it's written by the same author. He put all his focus on this. He put all his focus on Secret of Andalantis. Boy, this story does have a lot of deep. This story is like very separated from. This one's kind of like where there's flames. Where, as far as I know, there's like nothing that really does anything. I mean, if anything, this is like the most disconnected from the entirety of season 1 as you can get. Like, there's unless something happens like the stories that were not completed in season 2 when I found out about them. This one doesn't really. This one's just like completely disconnected from the rest of season 1. I think that's a good thing because this one's trying to do its own thing instead of what's the word? Instead of trying to fit itself in the narrative, I think that actually plays against its best. So this is actually another one that takes place where 2 stories kind of take place at the same time. However, the other one is carried top of the line, and that one is a short story. So I'm going to do a reading of that. So there's that. So Secret of Andalantis. Trixie, Bonbon, Dinky, Derp, and Ditzy, and Lyra, they're on vacation in called Cayo El Bayo. It's right there. It's like the first line. Cayo El Bayo. Where they're having a little vacation time. They just want to rest and relax from all the stresses of dealing with Philomena and dealing with the Night Court and stuff like that. Don't worry. The Night Court is actually going to start playing a factor, not near, but right here. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, they go to Cayo El Bayo. They start relaxing. They start just, so calming, so relaxing. However, they spot Rarity off in the distance. Rarity in quotation marks. Spoiler: that's not Rarity. That's Zane, who was the person who worked for Blue Blood, who tried to in File I for Impossible. He was the person trying to steal Trixie stuff that Trixie immediately knew was a thief. But yeah, they run into Rarity and they decide to hang out together. Before you know, Trixie doesn't know that Rarity is Zane yet. She kind of finds out later in the story where Trixie's using the detect magic to try and find. You know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. So yeah, they go on a sort of dive expedition. So that they go on the boat. They go on a boat. They have the boat with the special window that lets you see underwater. You can go on underwater and swim with the fishes all the time. And then we find out about Andalantis, which was an undersea kingdom ruled by merponies, sea ponies, and plesioponies, who basically who lived together. Basically, it's kind of like a tale. It's basically like an underwater version of Atlantis. So basically, for those who don't know, Atlantis was a sea that sunk underneath the waves. Atlantis is basically the inverse of that. They were people living on the land, and when the city started sinking, the god of the seas basically wanted to protect the survivors, so he turned the survivors into the sea ponies, the merponies, and the plesioponies, depending on which race they were. And so they lived in perfect harmony. However, a big war happened where the plesioponies, they nearly went extinct except for one, and they couldn't really live in harmony anymore. And then their underwater city, the city of Andalantis, disappeared, never to be seen again under the seas. And so after that, the merponies and the sea ponies, they kind of separated, went their own ways, and no one knows what happened after that. I think, you know what, I actually think there is a, where is it? Yeah, here it is. I might as well just read the tale itself. Hear me, one and all, listen to and learn the city of Andalantis. Its lost splendor and tragedy took it away from its people. Long, long ago, before the reign of the royal sisters, 3 tribes of hippocamp lived in the oceans. The majestic plesioponies, marshals of the waves and currents, the playful merponies, shepherds of all that swam, and the diligent sea ponies, stewards of the sea floor. Together, the 3 tribes lived in a majestic city constructed by Princess Thetis, goddess of the oceans, called Andalantis. That city was said to glimmer with 1,000 color, be the source of art and music, the likes of which the land had never seen. All 3 tribes lived in harmony, each performing their duties to help the ocean thrive. However, the merponies and sea ponies did not always see eye to eye on where their duty ended. Merponies wanted sea ponies to limit themselves to seaweed and corals, while sea ponies wanted to take care of all the creatures that crawled on the sea floors, and the fish that called their majestic coral reefs home. Always, the gentle plesioponies would calm their brethren and settle disputes, and all would be harmony again. But then the bringer of strife appeared, and wanted nothing more than to shadow that beautiful harmony. The bringer of strife gave birth to a new creature, harmless in its appearance and demeanor, but whose very nature could cause clashes between the rival aquatic ponies. The creature would grow from the seafloor like seaweed, but as an adult, it would swim throughout the ocean without ever stopping. Both the merponies and sea ponies wanted control over the new creature, stoked by the demon watching from the shadows. The 2 tribes began a terrible conflict. The plesioponies pleaded with the 2 sides to stop, but no one would listen to them. They called upon Princess Thetis, but the secretive goddess was impossible to find. Thus the plesioponies took it upon themselves to stand in the line of fire and stop the 2 tribes. Sadly, their empty-hearted harmony. The sea ponies and merponies could no longer recognize the plesioponies as friends. When finally Princess Thetis appeared, all the plesioponies, save for one young filly, had been sacrificed for to sake the bringer of strife's thirst for carnage and conflict. Upon the grim spectacle, the goddess of the sea stripped away all magic from the hippocamps that remained, rendering the oceans wild, untamed, and hostile to the ponies. No longer would animals or plants obey the aquatic ponies, and their great city was cast away, far beyond their reach. They would have to survive on their own from now on. To grieve together for their lost family, the spirits of the departed plesioponies became one with the waves and currents they had controlled, remaining forever a monument to the lost tribe. The pain of having lost so many of her precious ponies caused Princess Thetis to fall into terrible despair, and her tears began to fill the oceans. Soon the oceans were overflowing with the tears of the goddess, threatening to swallow the land. The ponies of the land tried to plead with the goddess, but her tears were forever flowing and would not stop. Her pain was too great. The depths of her sadness were profound as the ocean themselves. The unicorns, Pegasus, and earth ponies came together and created an enchanted vase they gave to the grieving goddess. The enchanted vase would forever contain her tears, no matter how much flowed from the goddess, so that the oceans may never overflow, so long as no pony removed the cover. The goddess entrusted custody of this powerful artifact to the last plesiopony that remained. The young Aquarius took the vase and was allowed to rejoin Andalantis, disappearing into the land of myth to myth, never to be seen again. So that's basically the myth as Lyra knows it. However, that's not actually true. The truth, it's actually revealed that the plesioponies were actually the ones who went mad by the Bringer of Strife, who was a competitor god of Thetis' father. And so that god basically corrupted young Aquarius' mind and turned the rest of the plesioponies mad using the power of the jellyfish lantern. However, Aquarius got a moment of clarity after seeing her people die and basically stopped using it. The vengeful god did not like that, went to attack Andalantis. Thetis' father fought back, but had to sacrifice a lot of his power. And so he basically used the rest of his power to to hide Andalantis until the time was right. Well, to put the city of Andalantis. Spoiler alert: Andalantis is on a large turtle, and the reason why they couldn't find it is because Andalantis did a reverse Atlantis and went up sea until Andalantis can be reawakened by the tribes. However, in the inconvenient time, the Spearmer Strife's kid started bringing strife to the Merponies and Sea Ponies. Basically, the Merponies and the Sea Ponies, they work together to fight the mad Plesia ponies who turned corrupted. And basically, when's that time, they couldn't reawaken Atlantis, and they eventually went their own ways. And they slowly forgot about the myths. Or more importantly, they started perceiving the myths in their own way. But yeah, there's that. So, going back to the story, Trixie uses a spell to allow them to breathe underwater. They separate. Dinky gets lost. Derpy gets lost. Gets found out by these creatures called the cow sharks, which are these sharks that have like other animal parts attached to them, and then gets rescued by a sea pony. Everyone reunites. However, they couldn't find Derpy. So Trixie uses her magic to detect the spell, but since they're in the water, they can't. It's really, really weak because everything kind of drifts away. Is actually using the spell to actually finds out how that Rarity is the Zane, because Rarity is like leaking the illusion magic onto her to kind of keep everything alive underwater. And also the fact that Rarity's not exactly this determined to do it. Zane reveals that she basically just wanted to owe Trixie one, specifically for stopping Corona. It's like, yeah, I may be a criminal and do a lot of blackmail, but I don't want the entire planet to blow up. So I owed you one. So think of this as a favor. However, the rest of the game, they come across the sea ponies. Basically, the differentiate between merponies and sea ponies. Sea ponies are the ones that look like actual fishes, or more like seahorses, while merponies have more of a mermaidian sort. So like their bottom half is the fish, their top half is the horse. And they meet and both Ditzy and the rest of the gang, they meet their respective leaders. They do get separated again. Bonbon and Dinky and the pony that Zane's trying to seduce, they go up to sea. So it's just basically Lyra, Trixie, and Zane. They come across the merponies, and both groups they meet the leaders, Scalia and Cherbis. They're basically playing off the Greek myths of Homer's The Odyssey, where you either go through the tornado, where you have to deal with the Scalia or you have to deal with the Cherbis. And so, they deal with that. And they both reveal the same thing, that the merponies / the sea ponies, they're controlling the cow sharks to basically hunt the other one down, and they might have captured the other group. Simple miscommunications. Zane's the only one that's able to actually figure things out because she's keen in blackmail. So, makes sense. They find out that the daughter of the Bringer of Strife, this big angler creature, is the one controlling everything, and she's kind of using the jellyfish lantern to basically turn herself into the sea pony, sea mermaid, merpony. It basically brings strife to both tribes and systematically hunt them down to finish the job that her father tried to do. Father or mother, can't remember. And also find the city of Andalantis. They capture Lyra and also 3 ponies who are the most musically gifted to basically do that. There's a big breakout. All the merponies that were captured, they're rescued. The cow sharks are revealed to be merponies and sea ponies that are corrupted by the jellyfish lantern. There's a big war thing between the cow sharks and the mer ponies, sea ponies with Charvis going. Scalia stays to help with them because he's like, nah, I'm going to be Jane Foster. I'm going to punch him. They do eventually. Bon Bon joins them. They fight the angler creature. They start playing keep away with the jellyfish lantern. Bon Bon breaks the jellyfish lantern. Basically consumes the angler monster into a gigantic jellyfish eldritch abomination that like is like a gigantic eye underneath the bowl, and also like its little antenna things are actually just gigantic sea serpents. And they basically have to work together, use the power, use the Song of Awakening. Yeah, there's apparently Legend of Zelda exists in this universe. It's just called The Legend of Epona. And they basically, Lyra and the Sea Pony and the Mer Pony, they basically wake up Atlantis. Turns out Atlantis was the island that they spot at the beginning of the story. It sinks and goes underwater. Turns out the person in charge of Theseus was still very much alive, but Theseus is actually the turtle, and so uses an envoy to basically explain the actual reveal of the myth and the reason she has to sleep is because unlike Luna and Celestia, she's not immortal. She can live for a long time, but she needs to rest every so often in order to keep herself alive longer. But eventually, she's gonna die anyway. Also, the last Plesio pony, Aquarius, is still alive. She's just frozen, and she has a bunch of eggs to basically rejuvenate the seeds. Zazane leaves Ko Albeo because she has other plans. And that's pretty much the plot. So there is a lot of moving parts. And there's actual character development. We see Trixie and Zazane, they start to work together. That's really well done. Zazane showing that despite the fact she is a criminal, she has a specific code. She only really wants to do like blackmail and extortion. She doesn't really want to do anything more than that. So she has a limit of what she's willing to do. You have Lyra, who's very magically gifted, who wants to learn this myth and becomes curious about the legend of Andalantis, and she befriends a mer pony and a sea pony, and they all work together. It's really nice. And that's really it. There is one grammar error. The author misspells Chartivus, like, near the end. That's it. Pacing. The story is very slow paced. This is like one of the longer stories. I think it's like, what? Yeah, this is 60,000 words. So it's one of the longer stories. But it's paced along very well in the fact that it still moves at a fast enough pace that it's still reminiscent of an episode, just probably like an hour special sort of thing. If anything, Hero Oten's probably going to be like a movie. So there's that. But yeah, the pacing is good. The sentence structure is good. Everything about this story is good. Would I recommend these two stories? I wouldn't recommend Where There Is Smoke. It's just such a nothing story that I can't justify in any way. At least with Elk Communication and Griffin Over the Line, you have to read those for certain specific stories to make sense. But this story doesn't make sense unless you just want to skip to the last chapter and find out that Celestia built a base. Secret of Andalantis, yeah, I would recommend it. It is a great story. It's actually it's really well done. I have nothing bad to say about it. My favorite part, don't have a favorite part of Where There Can Be Smoke. Secret of Atlantis, I do like the Zelda reference, but that's kind of wimp sauce. When it comes to my favorite part, I guess you could say the final fight is actually well done. You have Trixie and Bon Bon and Ditsy and also Scalia all working together. Trixie, Scalia, Bon Bon, and Ditsy all trying to work together to keep Echidna. That's the creature's name. off of Lyra and the other musical ponies to basically reawaken Andalantis. I think that was well done. Yeah, I think that's it. What would I change? I wouldn't change anything about Secrets of Atlantis. Where there could be smoke, I would suggest trying to find some reason to justify rating it, like some kind of big story significance. Celestia having a base, that's not enough. That you can easily assume that, oh, she built the base in between stories. Okay, it's such a nothing thing that you need more justification to have this story read. But yeah, that's where they can be smoke, where they can be fire, and Secret of Andalantis. Read this one. Don't read the other one. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.